So I've got 2 case studies here, and there's many, many public engagement with research case studies at Oxford which lead to social innovation. But I've picked 2 here that just show, I think, the beauty of how public engagement with research can lead to social innovation. And this one's about elephants and bees. So researchers from the University of Oxford, together with other researchers and partners, were working in Kenya, and the issue was that the elephants were raiding farms, raiding and eating crops and causing much destruction. As a result of these conflicts, both elephants and people were killed. When the researchers talked to the local community told researchers that elephants were scared of bees. So researchers conducted a research experiment, and they confirmed that elephants are scared of bees. And much research has been conducted and corroborated this. So the researchers worked with the community to create beehive fences. And so they surrounded the crops, and it found that they were significantly effective in reducing elephant raids. In fact, where there's a beehive fence, there's only ever been 1 case where an elephant has went through a beehive case. So it's a social innovation solution, low technology, done in consultation with research in the community, environmentally friendly. Crops are now protected, as are elephants, as are the farmers and their community. There's also the added bonus that the bee products are sold as elephant-friendly honey and elephant-friendly beeswax, which adds a much-needed income to the local community and the farmers. And beehive fences, so the design for the beehive fence you can download online right now. It's very simple to construct, and beehive fences are now being put in many, many countries across many, many different continents. So my next case study is about flooding, which causes much damage, much property damage, much economic damage in the UK, and also a lot of heartache and stress for those that are flooded. And this is Professor Sarah Watmore, one of our social scientists at Oxford, and who worked with the community in a town called Pickering in North Yorkshire in England. So this beautiful and historic town kept being flooded, and the government solution, or the environmental agency, was to build a very expensive, very ugly concrete wall around this beautiful and historic village, to which the local community did not want to happen. So they put a call out to researchers and environmental engineers to work with them. Oxford University responded, as did many other universities, to work in partnership with the community to find new solutions. So they tried out these solutions together in partnership and to find out which ones worked and which didn't. And they found the best way was the river that was causing the flooding was to build small dams within the river that would temporarily hold back the water in times of extreme flooding. And also, if they changed some of their farming practices, and if the community worked differently with the water around them, they could help reduce the flooding. It was significantly cheaper, much more environmentally friendly. But did it work? So in 2015, Yorkshire and Northern England was again subject to flooding. And the town of Pickering was the only town in North Yorkshire that remained dry, that didn't get flooding. And this was a social innovation, community, public engagement project. So just to summarise my talk today, public engagement with research should generate benefit between public and researchers, and indeed all public engagement should generate mutual benefit, whether it's students engaging with the community or the university as a whole. Public engagement as a movement in the UK has grown over many, many years, and it's now the push for culture change has been incredibly successful. Many UK universities are aiming to foster a culture in the UK through a number of drivers, and one key critical organisation has been the setup of the National Coordinating Centre for Public Engagement. And I can't underestimate the value that very small team has had in helping universities across the UK do this better. Culture change, and I'm sure you know this from trying to embed social innovation into your universities and practice and teaching practice, it's a really, really, really slow process. But I think we're getting there. Well, in fact, I know we're getting there. But change and proper embedded change quite often is quite a slow process. And public engagement with research can be an excellent route to social innovation. Thank you for listening.
퍼블릭 인게이지먼트에 대해서 아주 정말 쏙쏙 이해할 수 있게 개념에서부터 어떻게 리서처를 또 대학에서 이런 컬처를 인베드하고 리서처를 키우느냐, 또 너무너무 재미있는 케이스 스타디까지 굉장히 개념부터 사례까지 잘 발표해 주셔서요. 저도 정말 많이 배웠습니다. 다시 한번 좀 발표해 주신 약속해 부탁드립니다. 그리고 필요해서 질문을 받으려고 하는데요. 저도 정말 너무 감사하게도 연구문화원에서도 협조해 지원해 주시고 이대 정책과제로 영국 대학의 사회적인 지역사회 연계 이런 과제로 2월 말에서 3월 초에 영국 대학들을 방문하고 영국 퍼블릭 인게이지먼트 센터를 또 방문을 했었는데요. 그래서 또 여기 같이 가셨던 또 신양선 교수님도 계시고 저 이종욱 교수님 아까 계시는데 같이 가셨던 교수님도 계십니다. 그래서 질문 좋으시고 또 플로어에서 자유롭게 또 코멘트도 좋으시다, 뭐 조사가 예쁘다 이런 말도 듣고요. 저는 진짜 연구년 때 아까 그 엘라 컨텐츠 연구 어떻게 같이 참여할 수 있나 그걸 좀 질문하고 싶고요. 네. 어떤 질문이라도 좋으니까요. 자유롭게 플로어에서 해주시기 바랍니다.
네, 저 카이스트 경영대학의 이지훈 교수입니다. 교수님께서 잘 발표를 해주셔서 저희가 강연에 아주 fully engage 할 수 있었습니다. 그래서 감사드리고요. 이제 이런 어떤 퍼블릭 인게이지먼트 위드 리서치가 본격적인 성과를 거두려면 당연히 소수의 이제 선구자들이 있어야 될 거고, 그게 궁극적으로 문화적인 변화까지 이어져야 된다는 말씀을 이제 사실 제가 이제 새겨 들었는데, 사실 이제 그 중간에 저희가 이제 필요한 게 실제로 이러한 걸 확산시키기 위한 그 리소스와 인프라스트럭처가 필요하다고 생각을 하거든요. 그래서 저는 사실 우리나라 대학에서 제가 이제 학생 때부터 지금 이제 교원으로서의 경험을 돌이켜 보면 한국 대학의 퍼블릭 인게이지먼트는 상당히 강했는데 퍼블릭 인게이지먼트 without research를 많이 한 것 같습니다. 그래서 그런 어떤 퍼블릭 인게이지먼트 without research가 아닌 퍼블릭 인게이지먼트 with research를 하기 위해서도 그 리소스와 인프라스트럭처가 많이 필요한데, 그런 것들을 영국의 대학이나 아니면 뭐 옥스퍼드의 사례도 좋고요. 어떻게 확보를 해가지고 이 문화적인 변화까지 이어지게끔 이 성과가 나타났는지에 대해서 혹시 말씀해 주시면 대단히 감사하겠습니다.
So the funding comes from, partly it came from government, and I think one big shock to UK government was when in the UK the public backlash against genetic modification. And so even though people say, of course, public engagement takes resources, but conflict is much, much more expensive. So if we can invest a tiny amount, it's percentage-wise of the UK research budget, if we can invest a tiny amount of that, that brings added value to the research that's taking place. So I think the worry in the UK was, what's the point investing in research and innovation if when it enters society, the public won't accept it? And so that's, I think, where the drive came from the government to fund public engagement, and also our key research funders. And so they have been hugely influential, both the Wellcome Trust and United Kingdom Research and Innovation, in providing the resources for public engagement to happen. And now the vast majority of research grants, you are required to show that you are doing some sort of public engagement with policymakers or industry or with communities, and that you were definitely attempting to make some kind of difference to the real world. So in terms of funding, from the UK, it was our research funders that have been really, really key. And just showing also what a tiny percentage of money you need for public engagement is a tiny amount of the research budget, but it's such good money well spent. So I don't know how much you think the National Research Foundation, Federal Foundation, I don't know how much interest there could be for the National Research Foundation to be interested in funding public engagement and public engagement culture change.
네, 닥터 패터슨 얘기도 참 명확한데 순차 번역해 주시니까 더욱더 명확하게 됩니다. 네, 이정호 교수님.
네, 저희가 그 영국문화원 덕택에 일주일간 저희는 심화 코스를 했는데 여기 계신 분들은 이제 한 번 강의로 다 파악이 어려우실 것 같아서 제가 그 보조 역할의 질문을 드리겠습니다. 아까 그 순차 통역으로 들으신 것처럼 그 영국에서 과학적 연구에 대한 대중의 신뢰가 땅에 떨어지고 특히 이제 우리나라 광우병 이런 것처럼 유전자 공학 문제에 대해서 대중의 심한 반발이 있어서 이제 이것을 과학자 자신도 신뢰를 끌어올려야 되겠다는 생각이 있었고 영국 정부도 그것을 동시에 해서 이 영국 정부가 주도하고 SK와 같은 웰컴 파운데이션 같은 과학적 연구를 지원하는 거대한 재단이 같이 협력해서 굉장히 탑다운 형식의 그 NCCPE라는 우리나라 연구재단의 특별조직과 같은 조직체를 만들어서 이분들이 거기서 컨셉을 다 디자인해서 유명 대학에 이렇게 파견을 해서 그 대학에서 그 컬처를 연구자들이 그것에 다가가서 그 컬처를 수용하도록 하는 과정을 하고 있어서 굉장히 탑다운이면서 동시에 바텀업 방식을 굉장히 잘 결합하고 있는데 제가 드리고 싶은 질문은 저희가 마침 옥스퍼드 대학은 못 갔습니다. 캠브리지 대학까지는 갔는데 근데 제가 드리고 싶은 질문은 첫째, 그 전체 영국의 리서치 펀드에서 이 그 퍼블릭 인게이지먼트라는 기준을 설정해서 제공하는 펀드가 전체에서 어느 정도 퍼센트인지 하는 거하고 그 다음에 두 번째는 이제 대부분 이제 이 새로운 컨셉을 Can you carry my passion? 그래서 두 번째는 이제 그 이거를 각 대학에 저희가 가보니까 NCCPE라는 단체가 아주 이 개념을 전파하는 헤드쿼터 같은 형식을 가지고 있어서 이분들이 거기서 전문가를 역량을 키워서 각 대학에 가고 각 대학의 총장님이나 이런 분들이 적극적으로 그분들을 유치하는 방식으로 해서 어떤 때는 로스쿨에서 어떤 때는 비즈니스 스쿨에서 이렇게 다양한 대학에 단과될 때 준비가 되는 대로 이것을 그 허용하는 것 같은데 그 두 번째에서 그 기존의 아카데믹 커뮤니티에서 이 새로운 퍼블릭 인게이지먼트 컨셉을 수용하는 정도가 옥스퍼드 같이 명문 있는 대학에서는 어느 과에서 좀 더 적극적으로 이거를 받아들이고 어느 과가 가장 릴럭턴한지 하는 것을 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
Okay. This isn't being filmed, is it? So, in terms of how much funding has been put forward in the UK for public engagement with research. So, when I spoke, I don't have the exact figure, I can give you a rough figure. So, when you look at the culture change projects, so those 32 universities over the last 10 years that have given specific money to have culture change, I would say it's around £8 million. £8 million. £8 million. I don't know what that is in Korean won, sorry. For 10 years. And in terms of bearing in mind that the millions of pounds that are spent on research grants, how much is spent on public engagement, I couldn't tell you. But I'm going to try and find out when I go back to the UK and let you know once I speak to the Wellcome Trust and United Kingdom Research and Innovation. I know from Oxford University that 15% of all research grants have some sort of public engagement funding in there. And that refers to public engagement as in public and community. There's a lot more that include engagement with industry and business. Percentage-wise, I would say it's about up to 5% of the research budget. But I'll need to check that for you. And in terms of which department does most public engagement, so I think what's interesting is across the different disciplines, all the disciplines are equally active across humanities, social science, physical and life sciences and medical sciences, but I just think they have such different ways of doing it. And at Oxford, when we have some training events, networking events in which are discipline specific, and we have many other opportunities which is bringing researchers across very different departments, bringing a classics department next to an engineering department, because I think they can really learn off each other in the different ways that they approach engaging the public and community engagement. Yeah. And I think probably arts and humanities and social sciences probably just is a little bit more active than science, technology, engineering.
네, 답변 감사합니다. 질문들이 많으신데, 그러면 선대 이봉자님.
이 테이블에서만 질문을 자꾸 드리는 것 같아서 죄송하긴 한데 질문을 드리겠습니다. 오늘 상당히 유용한 톡 감사드리고요. 영국의 퍼블릭 인게이지먼트 그다음에 소셜 이노베이션 얘기를 들으니까 한국에서도 이제 이런 노력에 상당히 도움이 될 것 같습니다. 그런데 오늘 이제 어떻게 생각하면 상당히 석세스 스토리를 많이 말씀을 해주셨는데 혹시 페일리어나 디피컬 케이스의 사례를 공유해 주실 수 있으신지 그리고 그런 이 배리어를 어떤 식으로 오버컴 하신 사례가 있으면 왜 그러냐면 영국의 경우는 모르겠습니다. 그런데 한국의 경우는 솔직히 말씀을 드리면 대학이 전통적으로 우리가 퍼블릭 인게이지먼트를 얘기하고 있습니다만 퍼블릭 인게이지먼트의 상당히 서툰 대표적인 조직이고 이노베이션이 가장 더디게 일어나는 대표적인 조직이라고 저는 생각을 하고 영국의 경우는 모르겠습니다만 한국의 경우는 대학 교수님들 중에는 제가 적어도 파악한 상당수가 인게이지먼트나 이노베이션을 관심이 없어 하거나 심지어는 상당히 혐오하는 분도 많이 계시다. 이제 그런 어떤 현실에서 대학에서 이런 변화를 이끌어내기 위해서 노력이 실패담이라든지 혹은 배리어를 어떻게 오버컴했는지에 대해서 좀 말씀을 해주시면 한국 대학이 앞으로 이런 일을 해나가는 데도 많은 도움이 되겠다 이렇게 생각을 합니다.
Thank you. So in terms of failures, there have been many. I won't mention them just because I don't want to mention any particular researcher or academic because I know this talk has been filmed. Though One way, the one thing that we do say at the University of Oxford, again and again the National Coordinating Centre for Public Engagement say, is that engagement, community engagement, public engagement, social innovation, this is a lifelong learning endeavour. Just like you don't become a perfect academic the first year of your research career, you have to learn to be a great researcher, a great teacher and a great lecturer. And likewise, you have to learn to be really, really good at engagement. So one of our, Sarah Watmore, who I mentioned at the end, that did the flooding, worked with communities in flooding, and it was her work that generated this model, this way of working that enabled researchers to work in genuine partnership with community, with the community on looking for solutions. And she herself has said that she has made many mistakes, many failures in public engagement with research. And it's only now that she's now a senior professor, she's head of a division at the University of Oxford, very, very senior. And it's only in the last 10 years that she's done world-leading research with world-leading public engagement. She's been doing world-leading research for many years, but it took her a long time to do world-leading public engagement as well. And we've got Oxford's got its first public engagement conference on the 5th of July, to which you're all invited. And one thing that's coming through all the conference materials and to all of our delegates, we're really encouraging everybody to share not only their successes, so we've got lots of people talking about their projects, we've asked everybody to talk about their failures and challenges as well. Because I think if you're new to public engagement or social innovation and you do see all this success, you just think, I can't do that. And you need to be able to see that actually many people have many challenges and many barriers. And in terms of your second question, so in professors and senior academics not being interested, we certainly haven't got every single senior academic and professor interested in the UK, but we know because we conduct national surveys on researchers in the UK, and again that's funded by our UK research funders, we know that there has been a dramatic and significant change in the percentage of the academic population that value public engagement. We've done surveys on researchers once in 2006 that was led by the Royal Society, and more recently in 2015, and we've seen a significant change. I also think with personally, as we said, culture change takes a long time. I think I see such a difference in our early career researchers. They're public engagement natives. It's become part of what they do. And I think for true culture change, we'll have to wait for them to become PIs, presidents, vice presidents. So proper culture change could take 10 or 20 years. But I think we may have to wait that long. But certainly in the UK, I think one good thing is that even if senior academics don't believe in public engagement, community engagement and social innovation, it's no longer really socially acceptable to say that. And that way is progress.